Wow, Lubie, I'm happy that you took this into consideration because I was thinking you would be the hardest guy to move off of this mark. We discussed this briefly yesterday. I'm looking at my alarm clock every morning and thinking, why is this set for 5:30? This is the age of streaming. We're just clinging to an old concept here about morning drive radio that is no longer relevant. People don't even go to work anymore. Now, that was one of the few, if you can take positives away from the COVID-19 period of time, that was one thing, this change, transformation, where there wasn't so much pressure on you to get up in the morning, go flying out of the house, get immersed into just hideous traffic, get all nerved out about driving to work, and by the time you get there, you're a schwitzing, psychotic mess. And then right away, the boss starts screaming at you about something you didn't finish up correctly yesterday, and you just have a miserable day. Here you have a cup of coffee, you pet the dog, maybe even take it for a walk, like you were doing, and you say, wow, life is good.
The time!
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
All righty, welcome one and all to another edition of the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie here for, I guess it wasn't 2 weeks because I think they only did like 3 shows without me. But for a few shows without me, you had Defo and the professor. Now you have myself, and we will have a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up at about 7:30-ish. Gurggles will join me. We will get to you. Would love to get as many people as possible in on the trivia fun. We do have a Landlubbers gift certificate up for grabs. Landlubbers over here. Well, not over here. I'm in Coral Springs now, but my old stomping grounds in the Sunrise Plantation area, Sunrise Boulevard, Pine Island Road, literally on the Sunrise Plantation border. Check out Landlubbers. I'll be there tonight with the professor doing our trivia thing. We will have you here in about a half an hour doing more trivia fun with the one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely. So please join in. We'd love to have you. Defo is up in Atlantic City. Haven't heard from him, so that's, I guess, a good thing. He got there last night. He likes Atlanta. I don't know. I've never been. To me, if you're going to go for gambling fun, I would go to Vegas, here, or New Orleans. I mean, because New Orleans has a Harrah's. New Orleans has whatever I think Atlantic City has. I mean, I don't think they have a lot of like racing sports books. I know they have sports gambling there. I don't know if New Orleans has that yet. I'd presume they probably do. And Vegas, and Vegas can be ridiculous. Vegas, the flight's expensive as fuck, and food's insane. Everything's insane there. Atlantic City, he gets his Gordon Ramsay comp, so he gets to go to a really nice dinner for free. He loves Chef Vola's, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with loving places. And they get their junket, so the flight's free and the hotel's free. Just whatever the hell money they throw down the toilet, and whatever sportsbook Defo finds on I guess, I don't know if it's a Jersey. I don't know where the fuck they are in Atlantic City, like where they stay, where he goes. Because I know where he stays, I guess at Harrah's, they don't have a sports book, and they definitely don't have horse racing. So he has to go find, I guess he goes to Mirage or something. And the Sting loves her slots. So good for him. I don't judge. I know Mayo makes fun. The Greek who we'll have on tomorrow, we will have a full degenerate Friday tomorrow. The Greek makes fun because the Greek's a New York guy. He's out of Jersey via the New York area. He's been in Vegas, lived in Vegas, lived in LA. Or he's lived in LA, been to Vegas tons. He's been everywhere. He's a Greek, and he mocks Defo for going to Atlantic City. Mayo as well. I don't. Look, there's places you like. You want to go there continuously. That's fine. My wife and I are the literal opposite. As once we go somewhere, it's not, look, Paris is a place we'll go back to, and she's been a few times, or France. Italy is a place where she's been to a bunch of times. I've been to now once and can't wait to go back. Greece, we adored and can't wait to go back. So don't get me wrong. It's not like there's not places we won't go back to, but once there's so many places in the freaking world we want to see that once, like we just went to Morocco. I'm scratching it off the list. We went to Thailand, scratching it off the list. Where I don't know when, if ever we'll go back, because there's so many other places we'd love to go venture to. Like we only get so many trips. You have to work, you have to make money. It costs money to travel. So to go to the same places over and over again for us just doesn't make sense. But again, I won't judge those that do. You find something you like, you stick with it. That's Defo, and there's nothing wrong with it. One thing is I would say is I would love for him to expand his eating horizons when there. You know, like you want to go to Chevolo's, cool. You want to go there to whoever that Ramsey for free, cool. But you know, from what we've heard, Atlantic City has built itself up a bit. I don't know if it's what it was years ago, but I don't think it's a dump it was in like the last 30 years. I think it has like stepped its game up a bit. I think they're working on it, especially with the gambling money. So, you know, there's other stuff out there. But again, he's only there, I think, 3 nights, and they're there for a good dude, Marty the Party's birthday. So it's not his party, someone else's. So go do your thing. But yes, he is back in Atlantic City. I'm not casting aspersions. He and the thing, love it, enjoy it. I just got back from a vacay, sort of. When you go, we did one of these tours. So like you're in a coach with another like 10 people, sometimes upward of 50 people. And they plan everything you do. They even plan your lunches. That's the annoying thing is much like Mayo, my wife and I, we like to, especially when you travel, we like to venture out and try different things. And these tours plan your lunches. So literally we had every place was the same place for lunch all 10 days until the last day. We finally were like, dude, we can't do this. I want some other fucking food. You know, and we went and had our own kind of lunch. Dinners, the hotel was free. So you gonna eat the free dinner, right? Yeah, but the hotel does the same goddamn food wherever you are. So eventually, like the 6th day, we're like, all right, we're done. I and my wife had opened my eyes to it because if it's free, it's me. But the thing is, food is such a big part of a trip, at least for us. Like food isn't everything, but for my family, myself, and even her family, food's a big part of a trip, especially when you're somewhere different. And Morocco has diversity. It has different kinds of food there. We went out for a French meal that was fucking amazing. We went out to this place that had sandwiches, paninis. That was fantastic. I found this place around the corner that did like, they called it tacos, but it was more like a burrito. They did all these different kinds of food, shawarma, and it was great. So it's not like they didn't have diversity. These tours just get into this rhythm and they just do it over and over again. And I'm not one to spend extra, but not only it was very affordable over there, the prices are just different. But meals are a big part of a trip. So when you're not enjoying your meals, you know, like you're not wasting it, but you are. So literally halfway through the trip, surely it's like, we can't do this anymore. All we're doing is bitching about the food. Like there's so much food out there. And I was like, you're right. So we started going for our own dinners every night, even though the dinner was free because it was So I get Defo wanting what he wants, but to me, to eat the same thing over and over again, it gets old. We like trying new things. And hopefully, you know, he'll dabble on future trips to Atlantic City. I am here. As I said, we will have a trivia challenge at about, you know, Gurggles will join around 7:20 something, and around 7:30 we'll do the trivia challenge. So we'd love to get you in the fold. Please give us a call, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 for the trivia challenge. There is a Landlubbers gift certificate up for grabs. Again, I will be out at Landlubbers tonight at 6:30 doing our trivia thing, the professor and myself. It's not like any other trivia you'll ever play. It can be a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, but it is fun. It's a professor. There's humor, and we cover all the bases. We cover all genres of the world, so areas of the world. So check that out at 6:30 tonight at Landlubbers. We've talked a lot of football, and we will again tonight, Thursday Night Football. The Giants, the G-Men, the 101 Giants, the Giants who should be 0-2. They got plastered by the Cowboys in week 1, and we're losing definitively to the Cardinals, who probably are the worst team in football and are probably tanking because that Kyler Murray contract's ridiculous, and he's not the guy they thought he was. He's a fun talent, but he is not a hard worker, and he doesn't seem to be durable as a little guy. Look, I'm a little guy, so I can say that. So it feels like they're all in on the tanking. And they had the game. They were dominant. They were up pretty big versus the Giants, and the Giants came back. The Giants won. They're now 1-1. They take on the San Francisco 49ers, to me, the best team of football right now. I don't care what power rankings say and this and that. The Niners have the best defense I think by far. Yes, Micah Parsons is just killing people with the Cowboys, and it's made their defense look really good. It's not the Niners. The Niners, defensive line, linebacker, secondary is the best defense in football. They can, in an era of offensive output, high offensive output, they can win just on defense. They can. They can put up 13 points and win a game comfortably. That's the Niners. And offensively, they have a ton of talent. And Purdy, whatever you want to say about him, game manager, call him whatever the fuck you want. They have so much talent. You actually don't need a high-flying quarterback because a lot of the time, look at the Bills. Josh Allen, as good as he is, gets in the way a lot. When your team is that good, you can't afford to have the quarterback get in the way. And that was the problem with Garoppolo was he was game manager guy who turned it over. Purdy doesn't turn it over. Purdy knows his job, knows what he's supposed to do, makes the right plays, and gets the fuck out of the way with Kittle and Samuel and that offensive line. That's one of the better offensive lines in football. And that coaching staff that does a great job, and that defense. Purdy's like, okay, I'm not the star, and I don't need to be the star. That team's the best team in football. I don't care what power rankings say they're like third or fourth. It's stupid. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers handily. They struggle with the Rams, who I think are going to have a turnaround year and not be a sieve and not be one of the worst teams in football like they were last year. And did squeak by the Rams, but they're 2-0. And that's your Thursday night football game. The Giants are not good. The Giants are a rough team. Their defense is not what people thought it was. The offensive line was an issue last year. It's continued to be an issue. Daniel Jones is not a guy that should be paid in the top 10 of quarterbacks. It's sort of a mess there. And Saquon Barkley may be hurt. Supposedly he may get out there because he's a fast healer. Dable said. I mean, I guess we've seen him when Aaron Rodgers hurt his Achilles, the guy they referenced is Saquon Barkley because he came back, I think, in less than a year. Oh, no, Cam Akers came back in less than a year. Saquon Barkley has had injuries and has come back quickly, I guess. I don't know. He's also been a guy who's injured his whole career, so maybe he shouldn't come back so quick. We can talk a little bit about that game. I feel like the Niners will just roll them. Like, I don't know what there is to say. The Niners are better in literally every facet, including and I like Dable, including coaching, as much as Shanahan is a fucking weirdo and finds ways to blow Super Bowls and big games. He's still a great coach. And this team is, look, they didn't have a quarterback in the NFC Championship game, and the Eagles are really good. And they were in that game the whole game without a quarterback. Like by the second half, Purdy couldn't throw, and they had Deebo Samuel trying to be quarterback. And they weren't getting blown out. Like, if they had any kind of a quarterback in that game, they beat the Eagles going away, and they probably beat the Chiefs. So the Niners do have a bone to pick with the league, and I think this year you're going to see it, and tonight I don't think you're going to see anything different. They are 2-0, and I expect them to be 3-0. The Miami Marlins is another show we're talking about, and they're still in the wild card hunt, but this series versus the Mets was fucking weird. Look, actually, what's weird is I think the series versus the Braves, because before the Braves series, where they swept them and put up like 30 runs, including a game, the series clincher, the sweep clincher, 16-2, they were struggling to score runs. Bullpen was bad. The rotation was doing its job, but it wasn't enough before that series. Then the series happens and everything comes together and they just demolish the Braves. Well, the Braves have clinched the division. They're the number one team in baseball. And I don't think anyone's going to catch them. So they really sort of shut it down. So that sweep may not be what we thought it was, because then the Marlins take on the Mets, who have nothing to play for, are one of the biggest disappointments in baseball history with the amount of money they spent and the hope they had and expectations around the league and around their clubhouse. And so they're one of the biggest disappointments, not only this year in baseball history, to be really honest. If you look at their salary, I think they're top 3 in salary, and they were out of it from day one of the season. The Marlins have everything to play for. They were tied for the 3rd spot. They were, I think, within a half a game of the 2nd spot in the wild card. And they were even, I think, within 3.5 of the 1st wild card spot heading into this series. Well, the rotation did its job, which we've seen in the last couple months and most of the season. The bullpen was a fucking disaster. Again, I gave up a run in the first game, which lost the game. Gave up 2 runs in the second game, which almost lost the game. And in the third game, gave up 5 fucking runs. Yuri Perez, for most people think it's his last start of the season, wasn't dominant, but was fine. Only gave up 2 runs over like 5-6 innings, 3 total. 1 was unearned. But they were in position to win the game. They were in it, and the bullpen gave up 5 runs. Cueto, the wonderful Johnny Cueto, came out of the bullpen because I guess they're just gassed. And their lineup sucked. Went back to sucking. They literally, the lineup has been an issue all year, and It woke up for the Brave series and then went back to sucking versus the lowly Mets. So this is where the Marlins are. They're a half game out of the third wild card now. They're a game and a half out of the second wild card, and they're 4.5 out of the first. It's not over. I guess, look, there's like, what, a week left in the season? I guess, what is there, like 7-8 games left? So they'll be in the hunt for the playoffs the entire year, which going into the season, no one would have thought of. I will give them that credit. I will give them the fact that Kim Ng was aggressive at the trade deadline, and those moves have worked. Berger, Bell have done a really good job. Robertson's been a shit show, but at least the offensive punch was their issue at the All-Star break, it felt like, and they addressed it. The bullpen was an issue. The bullpen actually was strong going into the All-Star break, but they wanted to shore up the bullpen, made moves, and that didn't work. The bullpen's been an utter fucking disaster since the All-Star break. But look, with a makeshift rotation, Alcantara wasn't himself all year and then was hurt and is out. Hutton thinks he'll come back. I don't know. There's 8 games. I don't see him coming back, and I don't think they make the playoffs. With Cabrera been up and down, Sixto was nowhere to be found. Mayer, their young phenom who got hurt last year and missed the entire season. It was a hodgepodge of a rotation that actually did pretty well. Braxton Garrett, I think, he should have 10 wins. He got fucked in game 2. Is 9-6, has a good ERA. Luzardo's pitched well. They've thrown shit together. Yuri Perez, the phenom, pitched well, and they've stayed in the hunt. And look, that's a win for this organization. They got the over, and it's cool. But what's annoying is they were so much over 500 at the All-Star break, to limp to the finish sort of sucks. And our buddy Brian mocks their crowds. For a while there after the break, they were getting some, or before the break, in the middle of the season, when they were well over 500, they were getting nice crowds. No, they weren't selling out, but they were getting 20 to 30,000 every single night, weekend or weekday. And then they fell into disarray after the All-Star break, and everyone went away. Make fun of the Miami Marlins fans. Do whatever you want with that. They've only been around 30 years, and they've fucking broken up the team like 5 times. Like, you can say whatever you want about fans, but when an organization screws with you that often, it's literally anytime they've been good, we know that group was not going to be together. Like, we just knew it. And that's exactly what happened time and time and time and time and time again. So you can make fun of fans. You can say whatever you want. I don't really give a shit. I think it's a stupid ass discussion to talk about fan support, because the only people that do it are people that have had teams for 200 fucking years, and they always pick the low man on the totem pole. Your fans suck. We've been around for 4 minutes. Like, the one organization that's been around for multiple decades really is the Dolphins, and they get fans. They haven't won in literally 40 years, and they either sell out or nearly sell out. Like, so to me, it's just kicking someone while they're down. Like, okay, you've been around you've been around since the sport existed, and you're looking at us. Oh, you fans are bad. Okay, well, shouldn't we? Like, that's a weird comparison. Why would you compare something that's been around? It's like comparing Israel that's been around for thousands of years to Aventura, like as a city with historical significance, picking Jerusalem versus like, okay, thank you. Yes, Jerusalem has a lot more history. It's the beginning of time. So anyways, I think fan support and fans and stands is a weird thing to fucking point out. I don't get it. I think who cares? Who gives a shit? The Rays don't get fans at all, and they're probably the best run organization in all of goddamn North American sports. They're the one organization that consistently wins every year. What organization wins every year? Like, even the Yankees, they don't win every year. The Mets don't win every year. The Red Sox don't win every year. Take it to other sports. The Lakers don't win every year. Like, what organization wins? The Packers don't win every year. Like, this year, who knows what the Packers are going to be? The Rays win almost every goddamn year, and they get no fans. So who gives a shit? Who cares how much fans are there? But if you wanted to get fans, you're not gonna, because they're not gonna. I don't see them making the playoffs. Like, it just feels like they're limping to a finish once again in a season, and it's just look. I guess there's hope, because Jazz woke up and Arise is legit, and Berger and Bell, who you will have both under your control, worked, and the young arms may be coming back one day. And Schumacher did a really good job. Like, you got to give Schumacher credit. He did a good job. I don't know what to do with the organization, because this was the year we actually had some hope and nothing happened. So we'll see if 1 year turns into 2. because it's never happened. They've never got the year 2-3 years ago, the real strong COVID year when they actually did make the playoffs. Then they sucked the next year. They haven't been good 2 straight years ever. There's never been a year they've been good 2 straight years. So we'll see. You want to build fan support. You want to be able to compare them to the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Cubs and the Phillies and the Giants, which again, I still don't know why you would. But so many people like doing that. Let's see them be consistently good for 2 years. All those organizations had stretches where they were really good for long periods of time early in their creation. All of them. The Red Sox won a lot. The Yankees won a lot. The Cubs won a lot. The Giants won a lot. Even when they moved, they won. The Dodgers won both in Brooklyn and in LA a lot. Like all the people you're comparing not only been around for 150 years, but they won a lot early on. The Marlins didn't. The Marlins took 4 years of sucking to win, and then sucked again for 6 years and won, and then sucked again for 15 years before they almost won, and then sucked again. They're an organization that's been around for 30 years. Their management has always jerked us around, and they haven't built any continuity or any consistency on the field. So we'll see. We'll see if they have 2 straight years of winning. It would be nice. The Dolphins welcome talk about winning. The 2-0 Dolphins welcome the 0-2 Broncos to South Florida this weekend. So we will definitely touch on that today and tomorrow. Again, we will have a full Degenerate Friday tomorrow. Mark Lawrence is in. The Greek is in. The Professor is in. We'll see if we can fit the Gambling Gourmet in. And we will have a trivia challenge coming up. I'd love to get people in on the lines. 954 or line. We have one line. There's no reason for more than one line. We only can play one person at a time. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Please give us a call. We'd love to get you. We love our Chronic, and we love Ron. We love everyone that plays, but we'd love to get some new blood in there. Sorry, I have not been active on the chat. I can't do 12 things at once. Yeah, it wasn't packed when Cheetah was there. It was actually, I think the fan support went down when Cheetah was there. He literally emptied out the goddamn fucking lineup. But coming up next, we will have a trivia challenge with this gentleman, the one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely, who I was honored took over for me in my absence at Landlubbers, which I will be back there tonight. We'll give him a break. I'm sure he got his fill of the Chronics and the rest of the crowd over there at Landlubbers. No Defo. You have myself, you have Gurggles, and we will have you next on this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1 mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, and I officially welcome this gentleman into the show. You've known him for over 20 years as one of Defo's partners in crime on the Tribute Challenge. Last couple of weeks, he took over for me, or I held the seat for him, as he is a trivia hosting icon, the one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely. Good morning, Dave. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, Mike. Great to have you back. We were all concerned, obviously, when we saw the earthquake in Morocco. And, we're so glad that you and your lovely wife are okay. How far away were you from all that turmoil?
So when it happened, we were about 200 miles away. They said like 170 kilometers. We're about 200 miles away. We did feel it. So it was anywhere from a 6.8 to a 7.1 in the Atlas Mountains in the Marrakesh area. We felt it. We were in Fez, one of the biggest cities, and we felt it. Like we were in our hotel. We were in the fourth floor. We were getting ready for bed at like 11 o'clock at night. And the hotel started swaying. And my wife was white face. And I've never been in an earthquake. I guess she had been in one when she was young. And for some reason, because I'm so used to hurricanes and like you can tell, I don't know, if it's going to hit hard or early on, if it's not, like you have time. Whatever it was, for some reason, as neurotic as I am and as usually cool and calm as she is, we switched roles. She friggin' freaked out. And I'm like, I think it's an earthquake, because the building was literally swaying. And it was like for like a minute, like it was swaying. And she looked at me like, of course it's an earthquake, you idiot. What are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, we seem to be okay. She's like, we have to go. And I'm like, we have to go? I'm like, you have pajamas on. I have pajamas on. She's like, we have to go. And it was like one of these older hotels where you use the key to lock the door from the inside. So she's like frantically trying to open the door. I'm like, I got it. I open the door. And then everyone's running. I'm like, oh shit, I guess we have to go. Before I finished it, she was already halfway down the stairs, had left my ass. I'm like, you don't have shoes on. You don't have your cell phone. So I'm like, go, just go. I lock the door. We go downstairs. Everyone's in the street, weirded out. The funny thing was the hotel was not, which would usually be a good sign, but it wasn't like they were calm telling us this happens all the time. This is our plan. They were just like, it's fine. We're like, okay, why? And we're like, how often does this happen? Well, never. Like, okay, so like, what the fuck? So it was really weird. The way they handled it. But thank God where we were was fine. Marrakesh, that got hit, and it did get hit hard. Like, it's a weird misnomer. Like, it got hit hard. It did. But I guess the way the buildings are built, that even with a 6.8, we eventually went to Marrakesh, which was the hardest hit city. And even there, like talking to people, they said, yeah, we're fine. We're like, okay. Like, how? And they're like, I don't, we're like, how often does it happen? They're like, actually, we haven't had one like this in 120 years. So it isn't often, but thank God, blessings to God, we're okay. The Atlas Mountain area, the rurals, and we did see those houses. Those are built out of like fucking clay. Those got wrecked. That's where you saw the 3,000 people, the 1,500, 2,000 hospitalized, which it was a tragedy. It was really sad. And we met a lot of those people, and it was really sad. But thank God, Marrakesh, where we went, business as usual. It was like freaking New York City, like packed, people shopping. It was like, okay. And it was surely actually because of how hurricanes are, you have so much time. And then after they hit, like there's like this like month time where everyone's recovering, and she couldn't wrap her head around it because it came out of nowhere, which is freaking weird. And then the next day, everyone was fine. And they acted like they felt that it was weird. They'd be like, we're sad for those people. All right, let's go see the tomb and let's go see the mosque. And it was like, okay. Wow. Like, it was just by even the end of the trip, Shirley was like, yeah, I'm really happy we don't live near a freaking earthquake fault line, because at least with hurricanes, you get like or at least you feel like you get time to prepare. I don't know if we do. Right. It's in Africa, and you can get your water, and you can do the windows, and then you can hunker down. Like, the earthquake literally came out of nowhere, was there for a minute, and then thousands of lives lost after. It was a really weird thing, but okay, it was cool to see the outpouring of love, not only there, but to us. We're getting texts and emails and Facebook messages, and we were fine. And everything, we enjoyed the trip. We enjoyed the country. We had a great time. And I'm happy to be back. I heard you kicked ass as my fill-in at Landlubbers. How was that?
Well, I mean, the professor was terrific. He had a script typed out for me. He had everything set. All I had to do was just read them, and then he'd remind me, "Hey, Dave, that's a multiple choice one. You got to give a multiple choice answer." And I'd look down on it. But I mean, they missed you. I'm glad you're back. If you need me anytime, I'll be glad to help because the professor made it easy. But I prefer to be on the other side. The good news is, the second week I hosted, the Chronics finished dead last. So that made my night.
That's my favorite. All right. Well, talking about trivia fun, we will get into the game. I know you guys are clamoring for it. 954-417-0070. We have someone on the line, but we'd love to get you in. I will definitely keep track of who calls. So 954-417-0070. He's not here, but he's always in our hearts, and we know he's doing well. So one day we'll get him back. But we always start the trivia fun with the customary
Easy baseball.
There you go.
This former Red Sox pitcher on his teammate, Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski's wardrobe said, "No, Yaz was a great player, but he was the worst dresser in organized baseball. He made Inspector Clouseau look like a candidate for Mr. Blackwell's list of best dressed men." Was that a crazy guy that I met doing the Maine Special Olympics? Bill Spaceman Lee, Spike Lee, Pinky Lee, or Lee Leonard?
All right, let's scramble it up. And we got the one, the only, talking about the Chronics, Mr. Chronic, Lenny the Chronic, kicks us off today. Good morning, Lenny.
Welcome back, Lubie.
Thank
I
you,
missed
sir.
you.
Well, I'm sure you didn't.
That'll be
You had Gurggles.
Gurggles, come on down tonight.
I got a tournament at Doral at like 7:30 in the morning, so I don't know that I'll make it this week. But when you go there, Lubie, please apologize to Kai. I wasn't sure what was included. The first week I must have ate something and the professor paid for it. Second week he left and the Eagles and Vikings were on, and I stayed to watch a little bit. It had a sandwich. I left a $10 tip for Kai, thinking everything was included. He had ran after me saying, "Hey, you got to pay your check." So I went and took care of it and apologized to him.
Oh, okay. Well, if you took care of it, but either way, we always.
No, but Kai's a good guy. I didn't understand the ropes there. Anyway, that's right. Here's your true or false question, Lenny. In the movie Airplane, believe it or not, Daryl Dawkins was originally sought for the role that was played by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
That is false. That's false, yeah. Kareem was perfect for that role.
Kareem was great in that role. All right, you got 2 points. Look at you. This is your 3-pointer.
All right, Lenny, right up your alley. This Saturday is the Pennsylvania Derby at Park Street Racetrack. We want to know, 2 jockeys have won the Pennsylvania Derby 3 times. Mike Smith and Johnny Velasquez, Joe Bravo, Frankie Pennington, or Jerry Bailey?
Jerry Bailey.
Great guess, but no. Jersey Joe Bravo came over from Monmouth a couple times to win that.
All right, 5 points.
All right, Lenny.
And start off with a strong pace here, Chronic Man.
College football. In September of 1955, the first ever color telecast of a football game was by NBC, and it featured Georgia Tech winning 14-9 over this team. I don't want to say whom twice in a row. So Georgia Tech was one of the teams. The other one was whom? Georgia, Miami, Army, or Navy?
Go with Miami.
Yes,
There you go.
it was the Miami Hurricanes. They lost 14-9, the first ever color telecast of a college football game. Well done, Lenny.
Nice pace. Starts us off at 7. So we'd love to have more people on the lines. In order to do that, I have to get to the phone. So we will.
All right. So where's Defo? Where's Defo in the meantime?
Defo's in it. Oh, you didn't even know. Defo's in Atlantic City. He didn't talk about this. Usually he talks about these trips every freaking day. He's back to AC to go to on a gambling junket, and the staying's in the slots, and he's at some sports book, and they'll go to Ramsey's, and they'll go to.
Okay. Go ahead and do what you have to do, and I'll talk about Perdomo Cigars.
What I wanted to say exactly is, and it's been a while for me. I used to love, and I was thinking about this the other day with my wife, because we used to love just kick back, and now that we have the pool, and it's hopefully going to cool off, something we'd love to do, talk about our day, talk about what's going on, kick back, grab a great cigar. No one better than Perdomo Cigars.
That's right. They're at 5150 Northwest 167th Street, and we sell them right here at Miami Lakes Golf Club. And speaking of Miami Lakes Golf Club, we got a lot of events coming up here. Come out and play golf with us. Enjoy a Perdomo cigar. You can get them right in our pro shop. 305-627-6700 is the number to call Perdomo Cigars. I went to see Nick the other day. He's a proud grandpa now twice. His son had a little baby Lucia, a little baby beautiful girl. There's me at the Maldives with a Perdomo cigar and an ice cold beer. Probably, I don't know what that might have been. That might have been a Peroni. Anyway, you can't mistake. You can mistake the beer. You can't mistake the cigars. Perdomo Cigars, 5150 Northwest 167th Street, just a little bit east of the Home Depot, and on the south side of the street, you'll see the big Perdomo Cigar sign. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, you say, well, that's not convenient for me. I live down south, or I live up in Lauderdale. It's great. It's worth the trip there to see you and meet Nick. But should you not be able to get there, or you want to get one on a weekend, any tobacconist near you will have Perdomo Cigars. If you're unsure, go online, www.perdomocigars.com, to find a retailer near you that sells these great Perdomo cigars. My favorite, the Lot 23, a nice mild one, or the ones we sell here at the golf course, the Champagne. They make them in a Robusto, they make them in a Churchill, and they make them perfect one at a time. So today, tomorrow, when the Dolphins go 3-0 this Sunday, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
We are ready to go with our next player, Lenny the Chronic, setting the pace at 7. And I turn it back over to the one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Hoops. This comedian and former late night host on Life in Los Angeles said, I call Los Angeles the city of alternatives. If you don't like the mountains, we got the ocean. If you don't like Knott's Berry Farm, we got Disneyland. If you don't like basketball, we got the Clippers. What's that? Arsenio Hall, Monty Stratton, or Monty Python?
Oh, that's great. All right, scrambling it up. We're in a Chronic's kind of mood today, I guess. We go from Lenny to his partner in crime, the one and only Ron. Good morning, Ron. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, fellas. Let's go with A.
Perfect. You got one there to kick it off.
Well done, Ron. Nice recovery after finishing last week. Okay. Tennis, true or false? The official cocktail of the U.S. Open is called the Honey Deuce and includes Grey Goose vodka, lemonade, Chambord liquor, and ice garnished with 4 honeydew melon balls. True or false?
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Good
That's
job.
true.
Ron.
Nothing
Okay.
fancy, something a little different.
He's getting you with your guys.
I think the official, what the Derby is the mint julep. The
Yes.
Black-Eyed Susan, I think, is the Preakness. The Pennsylvania Derby is probably a can of Schmitz or something like that. That's the class of my Pennsylvania buddies. All right, 3-point question. Baseball. Which of the following Hall of Famers got his 450th home run and his 2000th hit in the same game?
Oh, God.
Was that Willie Mays, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, or Ernie Banks?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, boy. Let's go Ernie Banks.
No, that's a great guess. They're all great guesses. 1964, Mantle did it versus the
Oh,
California Angels.
Wow,
Mickey, the Mixter, yep.
Mm.
The real Mixter.
Feels like a Teddy, exactly, a Teddy Boggan thing. All right, you got 2. This is going to equal your buddy Lenny right here. 5-point question.
All right, football. In the Monday Night Football game this past week, quarterback Deshaun Watson was penalized twice for personal fouls. Since penalty statistics have been kept, 1991, he is only the second quarterback to have 2 personal foul penalties called against him in the same game. Who was the first?
Oh, wow.
Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Josh Allen, or Baker Mayfield?
Let's go Baker Mayfield.
That's what I would have said, but
Ours?
we'd both be wrong. It was Josh Allen.
Allen. Oh,
Had it just in 2020. I think they get him by bumping the official or something like that a lot of times.
All right, Ron. Well, bombs away. You may be in the finals, hang around, but thanks for playing. We appreciate it. Appreciate Chronic for getting in. on the fun. We're going to take a break. I think we may have a special player coming up next, a guy you can check out here regularly. We'd love to get you in on it. We'll probably have an abridged edition, like Gurggles get on his way today around 8 o'clock.
That's fine.
I know Dave.
That's fine. I got work to do.
Be so upset about that. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070 for more trivia fun. Again, appreciate Dave for not only taking over, but probably almost kicking me out of a job. If he wanted it, it probably would have been.
No.
The
people said you're not Lubie. We have to turn our hearing aids to a different frequency.
They can actually hear you. Understand?
No, the people were nice. Pam, the lady there, was terrific. Folks, anybody out there listening that does this show or listens to this show or follows Defo or Lubie, you should go there. Not only because it's a great fun night, but also the food is terrific. The food is great. They have every college game, every NFL game. They're on top of everything. They do their wing specials. They have a blackened salmon teriyaki rice bowl with vegetables that is unbelievable. And it's Pine Island Road and Sunrise, easy to get to. Lot of free parking there, and the food is terrific. Go there tonight. Your show is what, 6:30, Mike?
6:30 a.m. Then you have Thursday Night Football. We're like the pregame show for you.
Beautiful.
So come check it out. They do a great job. It is a sports bar, but it's not the normal sports bar food. They do a really good job with the food and the service. No matter what's going on in the service industry, you wouldn't know it at Landlubbers. They do a great job. So appreciate them. Appreciate you. And when we get back, we'll get into more appreciation of trivia here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on South Florida Live.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Now that it's football season, it's time for cliche talk.
Yes.
It's like
Stu Dickman is going to take. That's my alter ego, Stuart Dickman, and the Stuart Dickman
so if
show.
you could run. So here's my encapsulation of handicapping every football game coming up this season.
All right.
If you can run the ball and control the clock, obviously you're in a good position to win. But also defense. You need the good defense because defense wins championships. Now, of course, if it's a really close matchup, it could come down to the special teams. And then when you get to the fourth quarter, it's all about who wants it more.
Yes, who wants it more? Good for you.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Alrighty, welcome back to this edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Coming up at 12 o'clock, back on the road again, our monthly edition of the Mike Meals Lunchbox from Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Can't wait to get back out there. Yesterday, we had a blast at Casa Calabria. Chef Sal not only really opened our eyes with some great food, but opened our eyes to the service industry and how they get to their great lengths. I mean, if you ever eat overseas, and I know Gurggles has it, there's just a different way, and it's not casting aspersions against service here, but it just feels different over there. And he sort of explained why these people treat it like a master's program when they go to school for hospitality. So that was cool with Chef Sal. Later again at 12 o'clock, we'll be at the Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Right now, we get back into our trivia fun with the one and only, the man, the master of ceremonies, Mr. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
By the way, I see who's on the line. And last Friday, I believe, I had the distinct pleasure of seeing kind of the Mount Rushmore of South Florida celebs from legends. It was Defo, who I would count as the least of the four. And then Mike Mayo, Tony Segreto, and Joey Kornblit from Miami and Dania Highlight. Oh, and Defo drugged them all to the racetrack. Of course, Mike and Jeff, I think, participated. Tony and Joey just sat there and said, look at those two degenerates. Anyway, golf. Here's your quote, golf. This Irish golfer turned broadcaster on Nick Faldo's penchant for younger women said, gee, I'm so sorry Nick Faldo couldn't be at the tournament this week. He is attending the birth of his next wife.
Oh, Jesus.
What's that? David Faraday, PJ Flaherty, PJ O'Rourke, or Sergeant O'Rourke?
All right, if you haven't figured it out by now, it is the one and only Mike Mayo himself here on the Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mr. Mayo.
Good morning, gentlemen. Dave, it was great seeing you at Gulfstream last week. I appreciated the offer of a drink, but I was sober on my new regiment. Got to take my wife. I'm mimicking Defo. Yeah. So, but anyway, that would be David Faraday. Yeah. David Faraday.
Okay.
Yes. Good job, Mayo Man.
NFL, true or false? In an interview on 60 Minutes this past Sunday, when Deion Sanders was asked to name the best coach in college football, he appropriately asked if anyone had a mirror so he could see who that best coach was. True or false?
I watched it, and that is absolutely 100% true.
I hate him.
That's right. I forgot. You or I are in that demographic where we don't miss 60 Minutes.
Okay. Well, it was a big deal with Deion. I'm sure the numbers were ridiculous.
All right, so we've got a horse racing question for Mike.
Nice.
I have one more for the Pennsylvania Derby coming this Saturday, September 23rd. It'll be simulcast at the Stream and, of course, at Hialeah Park. Which of the following horses was the last to win the Preakness and the Pennsylvania Derby in the same year? Summing, Broadbrush, Skip Trial, or Summer Squall?
Good question. I'm going to go with Skip Trial.
No, great answer, but you had to go back to 1990 when Summer Squall did it.
Wow.
All righty.
Nice. Summer Squall.
You're tied. Let's see if you can get yourself into a possible final spot with the Chronic on this 5-pointer.
All right, let's give you a NFL question. Who was the first quarterback to throw 4 touchdown passes in his first game in the league in the NFL? Was that Fran Tarkenton, Otto Graham, Y.A. Tittle, or Sonny Jurgensen?
Oh, my God, this is tough. I'm going to just throw a Hail Mary to Sonny Jurgensen.
No, Sonny was the first one to lead 2 teams with the amount of touchdowns in a season, the Redskins and Eagles. 1961, Tarkenton came off the bench for Minnesota to do it against the Bears. Fran Tarkenton. We gave you a tough draw, Mike. Not really fair, but that's what you get for associating with Defo.
This gentleman at 12 o'clock right here on South Florida Live. Before we get to the finals, I do want to get one more player in. So there's nothing wrong with talking about this place more than once. Especially since Gurggles has been so associated with them.
What about Hialeah Park? Maybe we want to talk about Hialeah Park. You can have a Perdomo cigar at Hialeah Park where you're sitting facing the flamingos, which are still there, and you can go to Hialeah Park for all the simulcast action. They're open, I believe, probably Wednesday through Sunday for all the simulcast action. And, of course, they've got in their champion simulcast room 60-inch televisions and private booths like I like when Defo and his buddies come around and want to bother me and I want my privacy. But anyway, so Hialeah Park, very convenient to get to, free parking. And the other thing I didn't mention is where Defo is in Atlantic City with the Mustang today, and that is the casino side. There's loosest slots in town, poker tables where they raise all the time. And if you know how to play fast and loose, you can make some money there. Hialeah Park, there's something going there all the time. Frank Fiore and the gang are featuring now, not on so much the entertainment side, but on the promotion side. And that means more money for the slot machine players, more money for the poker players. So go to Hialeah Park, get yourself a reward card there. And every time you play, you'll get rewarded as well. Hialeah Park, not just a racetrack, but a way of life in gaming. Hialeah Park and Casino.
All right, we have Lenny the Chronic setting the pace at 7. Ron and Mike up the rails with 2. Will this next competitor give them a challenge? We get back to our final regulation player of today's trivia challenge.
All right, tennis. This female tennis star and Hall of Famer on an off-used cliche said, "Whoever said it's not whether you win or lose that counts, probably lost." What's that?
You're a loser.
Martina Navratilova, Martina Hingis, Martha Ray, or Ray Milan?
All right, scrambling it up. Go from Leo to our regular dear friend, Mike. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, gentlemen. Let's say A.
A is correct, sir. You got one.
NFL football, Mike, true or false? Referee Alex Kemp, after calling quarterback Geno Smith for intentional grounding, was about to share the call on his mic. When Geno Smith approached him to protest it, he was on mic and said, "Hey, don't bother me. I'm about to speak to America." True or false?
Sounds true.
It was true. Yeah, he was live mic and he said, "Hey, I'm about to speak to America. Leave me alone."
4 for 4 in the true falses today. Wow, they're getting it, Gurggles. All right, you got two, Mike. Let's see if you can pop this third one, this 3-pointer.
All right, baseball, Mike. In September of 2017, when the Cleveland then Indians had a record 22 straight winning games snapped when they lost 4-3 to that the Yankees, the Royals, the Tigers, or the Red Sox?
Tigers.
No, believe it, back then, Kansas City Royals snapped that win streak.
All righty, so I have 5-pointer here to get yourself into the finals, Mike.
Okay, Mike. On this date in history, September 1982, the New York Mets drew a paltry crowd of 2,251 fans at Shea Stadium when they hosted this team in that game. Oh, wow. Was it the Phillies, the Expos, the Reds, or the Pirates?
Pirates.
No, it was the Montreal Expos.
Oh, Jesus.
2,200 fans in the stands.
Mike, I think you may find yourself in the finals anyway, so hold on. It's just easier that way. This is the trivia challenge. No Defo, but you do have Gurggles. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get the finals assembled, and then we will give away this week's Landlubbers certificate again. Yes, I will be at Landlubbers tonight. The professor and myself, 6:30. Plantation, Sunrise Border, Pine Island Road, Sunrise Boulevard. Tonight is the cheeseburger special, and I don't know if you're getting that anywhere. A half pound of great beef, French fries, and some fun tonight. Landlubbers, check that out. And when we get back, this week's finals of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, we're going to wrap up this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in customary fashion with the finals. The finals is set. Lenny is there. Mike is there. You both are regular players. You know the deal. But just to make sure those watching who haven't played know the deal, Gurgs will throw out the question. If someone knows, they'll say their name. If they don't, then he will throw out the choices, and we'll go back and forth, people saying their names, until we have a winner. And I turn it over to, again, the one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely for today's finals.
Good luck, guys. Well, at least good luck, Mike. No, good luck, Lenny, too. I'm only kidding. All right. Football. The last time the New England Patriots started the season 0-2, thanks to the Dolphins' victory over them, was way back in 2001, when quarterback Drew Bledsoe lost the second game of the season to what team?
No
Nobody? Here we go. Here are your choices.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets, or the Bengals?
Mike.
Mike, what do you got?
Jets.
Got it.
The Jets. That's exactly right. Lenny, it didn't work laying off to get one of the choices out of the way. You let Mike sneak in there to win it. Well done.
Good job, Mike. Congratulations. And Lenny, we'll see you tonight, my friend. Probably won't be seeing this gentleman, but I appreciate you taking over the last couple of weeks. Ken said you made it nice and smooth, and it's not always that way without me. So
maybe next week we hope to. Mike, great to have you back.
And thanks again. Be well. The one and only Dave Gurggles Gergely. This has been the Highly Apart Trivia Challenge. Appreciate everyone that joined in. We'd love, again, to get new people in the fold. So give us a call, 954-417-0070. Again, like I said, later today, 12 o'clock, the other program you check out here on South Florida Live, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, also home at Let's Eat South Florida, which is, I think, at 120,000 people, which is ridiculous. When we started with Mayo, like, it might be 2 years ago. I don't know. I remember exactly when we started doing our radio thing with him. It was at like 30,000, which I thought was insane then. In less than 2 years, it's gone. It's times 4, 400 times the participants. It is an interesting place, Let's Eat South Florida, but it is a fun place, and you do find out a lot about restaurants. And I found out a lot on our show. Today we will be at Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, one of the longest tenured businesses in all of South Florida, in the Hollywood area, right across from the old Seminole Casino in Hollywood, but right down the street from the Guitar Hotel in Hard Rock. It has a chicken on the roof. They treat us great. They'll treat you great. Can't wait to get back out there today at 12 o'clock for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox at the Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Congratulations to Mike, edging out Lenny, winning, not just backing him, but winning today's trivia challenge and his Landlubbers gift certificate. So I'll get that out to you, Mike. I appreciate everyone that joined in on that. We had an abridged trivia. We'll probably have an abridged show, as I have to do No Filter. We do nofilter.net. We do talk about a bridge. We do a shortened version of our show every day there. Check it out. If you want to just get the highlights and not watch for the whole 2 hours, which we get and we appreciate, we condense it down there for about 20 to 30 minutes every single day. The morning briefing is what we've dubbed it. Nofilter.net. Today, you'll just get me by myself. So a lot of my ranting, pretty much the first 20 minutes of this show, I'll probably just do it again there. So check that out. Nofilter.net at about 9 o'clock. I will be going, I don't know. We'll see. We'll wing it 8:30, 45. Who knows? Tonight is Thursday Night Football. The Giants, the Niners. It's funny. Everyone's talking Dolphins, and I'm all about it because I think the defense, I don't think the defense has been scintillating. Obviously, they struggled until like the last drive against the Chargers, and they played really well against Patriots offense until the fourth quarter when the Patriots moved up and down the goddamn field, getting 2 touchdowns and almost scoring on that last drive if it wasn't for the time running out, because they almost got that goddamn first down. And then Defo wasn't sure they would have scored, but I was. They were doing whatever the hell they wanted in that fourth quarter, except for getting the ball inside the 5, and that's the only time the Dolphins stopped them. The defense has been up and down so far. There's a lot of talent, but Wilkins wants to get paid. Wilkins has done nothing. Sealer just got paid. He's done nothing. Phillips, this is supposed to be his breakout year. Everyone was talking about all his talent around the edge, the defensive end, linebacker, wherever they fuck they play him. Not only hasn't done much, he didn't even play the last game. Bradley Chubb, the big acquisition last year, they gave up a crap load for, signed to a huge contract. He finally woke up in the second half, but it still wasn't that much. Their linebackers have been a major issue. The secondary look without Ramsey. Xavier Howard did have a big interception right on former teammate Devontae Parker. And the offense was good. Look, the offense wasn't highlight reel like the week before, but the Patriots weren't going to let them. The Patriots made it a point to not let them get the ball down the field. The one thing the professor and I were talking about the other day And I will agree with, look, I like that McDaniel, unlike last year where even when the run was working, he would force the pass, and he didn't last week. The run was working. He stayed on the ground. Mostert got over 100 yards again. They got over 5 yards a clip. They controlled the clock. They put up 24 points. And they honestly should have put up a lot more if they were able to get fucking field goals. And Jason Sanders, the Fakakta thing, the Patriots had coming off the edge, which screwed with Sanders' head. The first time it got blocked. The second time the guy came off the edge. Sanders had a clear-cut field goal. Yeah, it was 55-yarder, but he had the leg on it. He just wasn't close because the guy fucking sucks 50 yards or more. And they do have a kicking issue, or they would have had more points and the game wouldn't have been as close at the end. I'm okay that they didn't score 40 or 30, whatever. It's the NFL. Belichick, whatever you want to say about him, is always good about coaching defense to a certain extent. That's fine. But they do have to figure out a way that just because teams take over the top of the field, the whole middle is open still. Tua's great at the middle throw, right? Tua's great at getting rid of the ball quickly. You have Hill. Now, Waddle may not be there this week. He's in concussion protocol. Fine. But Berrios is a fast dude. Mostert's fast. A-Shane's fast. Durham Smite's a solid receiver. You have all these guys that can go out there and make a play for you in the passing game. You don't always have to chuck it down the field or throw it over the top. To me, they always talk about screens are an extension of the running game. Get the ball in their hands. Get the ball to Tyreek Hill on reverses on screens. Get the ball to A-Shane. Get the ball to Mostert. Get the ball to their skill guys in space and go and move the ball down the field. You can have long sustained drives. Some of the Dolphins struggled with a lot last year. They've got a little bit better this year with it, but it's all or nothing a lot of the time. And I'm all about big plays, and it's fun and it's exciting, but teams are going to do this more and more. They're going to put safeties over the top and force the Dolphins to be methodical. It's something that Patrick Mahomes struggled with 2 years ago, and that's why the Bengals beat them and why they were better last year. Mahomes said, okay, you know what? Woosah, I'm not going to get anxious. I'm not going to feel like I need to make a play. You want to give me underneath? I'm going to take underneath. And that's the thing the Dolphins need to get better at. Like, you don't always have to run or throw deep. You can do intermediate passes, which Tua's great at. If you're watching, I guess Defo doesn't watch Tua. Like, I don't understand, because Tua's not just, well, he's great at the slant. No, he's great at anything that he sees a sliver. He's made like 4 passes this year that I've never seen. Like the one this last game when he had Hill on the out going to the end zone, and it wasn't a 5-yard pass. It was like a 30-yard fucking pass. He threw the ball before Hill made his break into double coverage in stride, hits Hill in his hands where he catches it clean and is able to get out of bounds as the clock was running down before half. Was one of the greatest passes I've ever seen. And it wasn't a quick in or quick out. It was literally a touch pass. It was perfectly timed in a pocket that was breaking down and threw it as only he could. So Tua is as good a passer, not arm strength and all that arm talent stuff that you see from Mahomes or Allen or Herbert. Passer, guy that gets the ball to his receivers in a perfect place for them to make a play. As perfect as anyone in the league. He's great at that. But the chucking it down the field, they don't have a lot of big receivers. To chuck it down the field to Tyreek Hill's dumb. Like, I don't mind going down the field here and there, but you got to be able to run, which they have been. Their run game's actually been pretty solid. You got to be able to pass protect, which the offensive line has. You haven't had Teron Armstead, their best offensive lineman, one of the best in football the entire year so far through 2 games. And Austin Jackson's held up, and Kendall Lamb on the left side is held up, which I give them a lot of credit. I did not see that happening. So you have to be able to just trust yourself to get the ball out to your receivers and your backs and your tight ends and let them make plays. And that's the one thing that they sort of struggle at. They struggled last year, and they still sort of struggle at having these long, sustained drives. And defenses are going to keep doing that. It slowed the Dolphins down last year. It slowed them down in this game. We're going to put safeties back, and you're going to have some room in the middle. You're going to have some room on the sidelines. You're going to have room for guys to make plays. Will you have the patience to do it? And so far, the Dolphins were better last week. They did put up 24, and they had a chance to put up 30 or more. They did. So it wasn't like they were held to nothing. But in the second half, you saw the offense sort of slow down, stall, and Tua did get frustrated. Tua did take a shot for no reason, and it did get picked off. So they have to get better at dishing the ball out to their backs and their receivers and letting them make plays. So we'll see. They do welcome the Broncos, who are 0-2 and have been tough luck this last week. They literally come all the way back, have a Hail Mary work to miss a two-point conversion. Russell Wilson hasn't been good. He showed flashes in this last game, but he's not the guy we saw in Seattle. This is a game that they are a West Coast-ish, a Mountain West team traveling east. The weather, I'm sure, is nothing there. What we have here, maybe high 80s, but the humidity will be in full effect. It is a 1:00 game. Everything should be in the Dolphins' favor. We shall see if they can just not overlook a Broncos team that's struggling, not, because their schedule is pretty decent when it gets later in the season. Do what they did last year when they played the teams that were they took care of business. Armstead is sort of intimating that he will be back, which would be really cool. Ramsey, again, will be back in December. Waddle's been in concussion protocol all week. It's freaking Thursday. I presume, especially with their history last year with Tua and the concussion issues, that they're not going to rush him back. You have Hill. You have Ezukama, they've been using more and more. Berrios has been really strong for them. A-Shane's a guy that can catch out of the backfield. Moster's played really well. So I'm hope Ahmed actually was not doing so bad, and he's hurt now. So I'm hoping that they have enough to try and get back to more of like West Coast kind of like getting the ball out to their guys and letting their guys make plays, and not everything having to be a big boomer bust kind of a drive. So we'll see if we see that more from the Miami Dolphins this Sunday. The Miami Marlins took it on the chin last night. They're still in the wild card hunt. They're a half game out of the third spot, a game and a half out of the second spot, 4.5 out of the first spot. It was just a tough series because you're taking on a Mets team that has nothing to play for, coming off a series with a Braves team that, had nothing to play for, but at least it's the best team in baseball, and you demolished them. I mean, literally, the last game Sunday, you won 16-2. You scored like over 30 runs. You got the sweep, put yourself in prime position in the wild card spot where you control your own destiny, take on a Mets team, and you can't hit, and your bullpen falls apart, and your rotation does almost enough, but it wasn't enough, and you lose 2-3 and almost lose 3-3 to the beleaguered, the downtrodden New York Mets. Look, a lot of people think the Marlins still may get to the playoffs. I don't. It just feels like they have too much of this up and down stuff, and there's too many teams hovering around them. You have the Diamondbacks, you have the Cubs, the Phillies are, if not locked in, or damn near locked in, up 3, and I think they're up 4 now over the Cubs in the second spot, and there's only like 7-8 games left. Like, collapses happen, but I don't know, it feels like the Phillies are sort of in there. Then you have the Giants, you have the Reds. Like, there's so many teams there. And look, none of them are playing scintillating. I get it. The Diamondbacks are playing actually pretty well, but the Reds, the Cubs, the Reds, the Cubs, the Giants have all sort of struggled. Still, the Marlins have been so up and down. I don't know. I just don't see them getting there. Look, a lot of people ask, was the season a success? Look, if before the season started, you said the Marlins will be in the playoff hunt the entire year, and they will. I mean, there's so little games left. They're within a half a game. I presume they'll be in the playoff hunt wire to wire. Okay. So wire to wire playoff hunt. They'll go at the trade deadline, make moves, and those moves will work. Berger and Bell have been good, and the bullpen guys outside of Robertson have been fine. Okay. They'll do that. They will finish hitting the mark and probably over 500 by most accounts. That would have been a successful season. Like I would have told you. Now here's the deal. The All-Star break, there were 14 games over 500. Yes, the second half of their season or the second part of their season was a much tougher schedule. True. That's very true. But to now be flirting with their 5 games over 500, I mean, they've gotten down to as low as 2 or 3 games over 500. They're outside of the playoffs looking in. If they don't make the playoffs, to me, it is not a successful season because of how far ahead they were. They were in the number 1 spot and had a nice hold on it at the All-Star break. And the All-Star break in baseball is not the halfway point. It's like almost 2/3. So you had a lot less of the season left and you fell apart. The bullpen, which was strong, was a disaster. You went and got players and they didn't make it stronger. It still was a disaster. The lineup, even though you got Berger and Bell and they were good, and Arise flirted with 400 for a lot of the season, and he was a hit in your trade department, the lineup sucked. The lineup was one of the worst in run production in all of baseball, and I love starting with average. As Devo and I have shown, even though we don't like it, average doesn't fucking matter now. It's home runs. It's get on base with ball walks. It's score runs. The Marlins are one of the worst run-producing clubs in all of baseball. That's what fucking matters. Their lineup has been a disaster. And the funny thing is, the rotation actually shined with a lot of Mayer, their future stud, Cabrera, Sixto, the guys that are supposed to be the Alcantara, supposed to be the fulcrum of that rotation, either didn't play or struggled. And you had Yuri Perez come up and looks like a guy that could be a part of that core rotation going forward, but he was so young, you had to take him out in the middle of the year. Like the rotation actually sort of did its job. Luzardo, Braxton, Garrett pitched way above his head. Like you've gotten a lot of guys to just fill in and get the job done, but it hasn't been enough. It hasn't been enough. And to me, where they were and the moves they made, it wasn't a successful season. Again, like I talked about earlier in the show, look for the Miami Marlins to figure some things out. And I'm curious if they go all in again in the offseason because they need to shore up the rotation. They need more help in the bullpen, and they need more help in the lineup. Berger and Bella isn't enough. Chisholm woke up, but outside of Arise, the rest of that lineup, like guys, like they're trying out a lot of guys. Like De La Cruz shouldn't be starting on an everyday basis. Like they're just trying out a lot of guys that it just doesn't work. And we'll see. We'll see if they have back-to-back winning seasons because they haven't. I don't know if they've had 2 straight winning seasons ever in their history. I look for that from the Marlins next season. It is a Thursday night football. I touched on that a little bit. The reason I'm not talking more about it is I think the Niners are going to kick the Giants' ass. I think the Giants got lucky last week that they're playing a team that is openly trying to lose in the Arizona Cardinals, and they did just that. The Cardinals were up pretty much big the entire game and found a way to lose that game. I think Daniel Jones, the fact that they invested in him long-term was stupid. I think he's average at best, and I don't even know if he's average. I know they won last year in a sense. They got to 9-8. They got to the playoffs, and they beat a team that had a better record than they were in the Vikings in the playoffs. But it's all about Barkley. And again, you can't really build a club around a running back these days. Daniel Jones is not the dude. So they put a lot of money into him, and he's average at best. And the Niners are great. The Niners literally are a team that, without a quarterback, almost made it to the Super Bowl. Like, Trevor Purdy knows his role, knows what he has to do, stays out of the way of that defense, out of that running game, out of the way of Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and just lets them do their thing, and is perfect for that role. I don't know what the score will be because the Niners don't always win by 30. The Niners sort of just do their job, get a win, and move on. But I just don't think the game will be competitive. I don't even know if it'll be interesting. I feel like it'll be closer to the Cowboys game for the Giants than it'll be for the Cardinals game, closer to the Steelers game for the Niners than it will be the Rams game. So there's only so much to say about that game. We do have an interesting slate of college football action this weekend. What's peculiar to me is some of the teams that are still not playing anyone. Michigan is number 2 in the country, and this is their 4th game of the year, and they will play another team that's useless. I get it is at least a conference game in Rutgers, but still, the fact that they played 4 teams that are not even clearly bowl teams is a fucking joke. The Canes will take on their 3rd team that's a load of garbage. I mean, they took on Miami of Ohio. They played Bethune-Cookman, who shouldn't be on their schedule, and now playing Temple. So 3 out of their first 4 games are teams that aren't Power 5. You know, maybe they're FBS in a sense. Miami of Ohio and Temple maybe FBS, I guess. I mean, to me, they're borderline FBS. Temple's Group of 5, and I don't think Miami Ohio may be Group of 5, but they're like low-tier Group of 5. I mean, Miami's start to the season, yeah, people are excited in their top 25, but that's why. Like, I hope that they are freaking undefeated with their start. Like, Georgia, Michigan, and them have the weakest start maybe I've ever seen. Like, to have 1 or 2 of those teams on your entire season is one thing. To have 3 of those teams to start the year, it's fucking weird. And they haven't even started their conference yet. FSU's playing their 2nd conference game, their 2nd top 10 team, and Miami hasn't played a conference opponent yet. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you get there. So, look, Miami's played better because at least those games aren't tight. But I'm reserving judgment on the Canes until they actually play the goddamn ACC. The Gators play a 2nd bullshit opponent in Charlotte, which I don't know. I don't understand. I think FSU, it's funny. Southern Miss was easy. Southern Miss was in a bowl last year. Southern Miss has Frank Gore Jr., who's an NFL running back. Like, FSU has this ridiculous ass schedule, and you have UF and UM playing nobody. But whatever. UFO will play a very tough schedule going forward. The Canes won't. The Canes have one of the easiest schedules all year. So we'll see if they can get to an 8-win season, because anything less will be a fucking joke with their schedule. So there's my rant about the Florida teams. Florida State does have another tough game. Clemson is down in a sense, but it's still Clemson. They're still a team bordering top 25. The Duke team that they did lose decisively to is for real. Duke is a top 20 team. They're really good defensively. They have a good quarterback. They are well coached by Mike Elko. So to lose that game isn't as big a slight as people are making it. I don't know. I don't think Clemson is the Clemson of Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. But if you're Florida State, after beating BC by 2, who racked up 18 penalties and over 170 penalty yards, setting a goddamn record, you can't overlook anyone if you're Florida State. So I said yesterday, and I do think Florida State should win the game. It feels like under Mike Norvell, whatever you want to say about them, when they play these bigger opponents, even if when they didn't win because they weren't close, they were in the games. Like they were in the games versus Notre Dame when Notre Dame was ranked high and they were a disaster. They beat North Carolina, number 5 team, pretty handily. They've beat LSU now twice. Both one time wasn't ranked, but they ended up being a top 10 team at one point, and this year a top 5 team, and LSU's rolling. They seem to get up for these games. So they are talented. They are deep. They are veteran laden. So I do think they'll win this game. And I do think, I guess if you're going to win the game, they'll win decently, decisively. I just am curious about Florida State going forward, because you can't look, last weekend, everyone did it. Georgia did it. Bam almost lost to goddamn USF, and they're not the USF of Matt Grothy and Jason Pierre-Paul. Like, they're a very bad USF. Notre Dame struggled with Central Michigan until the second half. Texas struggled after beating Alabama versus Wyoming until the second half. So again, everyone struggled. Fine. But they all found a way to win decisively, and FSU didn't. FSU literally limped to the finish. Literally, the clock is what saved their ass. If there was any more time on that clock, Florida State loses that game. So, yeah, they may get up for Clemson. I feel like they probably will after having that scare, and Clemson's beaten them 7 times in a row, and it's in Death Valley, and, you know, they're trying to get into a playoff, and they're trying to win the ACC for the first time in almost a decade. I feel like they'll be up for this game. What happens after? Yeah, the ACC is actually pretty damn good this year. The ACC may be the 3rd best conference, maybe better than the SEC this year to the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. But not every team is Clemson or LSU, right? So what will FSU do every other game is what I'm curious about. It is a great slate. We will have a Degenerate Friday tomorrow. So you'll get the Greeks' take. You'll get Mark Lawrence's take. You'll get the professor's take. And Mayo should join us, but I don't know if Mayo's talking college football. He's more of a horse racing guy. So we'll talk a lot more about the slate tomorrow, and I'll let those guys dive into it more. But it is a really, like, we've had 2 shit slates, or 3 if you talk week 0 to start the season. Yeah, the games were fun last week because teams were overlooking weak opponents for this week and weeks in the future, but the slate sucked. I mean, I don't think there was one top 25 matchup. Like, you have 6 top 25 matchups, and Florida State Clemson feels like one. Clemson just got demoted massively because they lost to Duke handily, and then they struggled the next week. But they still feel like a top 25 team. So that feels like, to me, 7 top 25 matchups plus other matchups. I think there's 9 games that feature teams that are either undefeated or 2-1 versus undefeated, or 2-1 versus 2-1. So it's a really great slate of college football action. Tony Segredo sort of brought it up yesterday. The Notre Dame Ohio State is, I guess, sort of the pinnacle matchup of the week. It's 2 long-term, generational, historical programs, 9 versus 6, so a top 10 matchup. Both teams have had their issues this year. Notre Dame actually sort of feels like it's figuring out on offense. Ohio State did name Kyle McCord their quarterback, but they haven't broken, I don't know if they've broken 40 this year. And Ohio State under Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, with Tom Herman at offensive coordinator before Ryan Day, they're putting up like 50s to 60s every game. Like, their offenses have been scintillating, and their offense has struggled this year. And their defense is still good, but the offense has had major issues this season. It's weird because Ohio State is 6, Notre Dame's 9. Notre Dame with Sam Hartman hasn't just demolished teams after week 1, but they've done their job they look like they play strong defense and the offense is coming along. I don't know. It's at Notre Dame. It's at night. I don't really like either program, but it just feels like Notre Dame is coming on in a way that I don't know if Ohio State will until later in the year, and Notre Dame is catching Ohio State at the right time, at the right place. That game, I think Ohio State is slightly favored, but it feels like it's sort of a Notre Dame game. Like it feels like their head coach struggled last year early, came on late, and this is the game that he wants to like put a stamp into the ground and say, look, I am the right guy to be here. I am the guy, Marcus. I am the guy to take them into the future. And this feels like a huge game for them. I mean, I'm not putting an official pick out. We'll do that tomorrow, but it does feel like Notre Dame is sort of the team that is ready to make a statement with all these teams struggling. You have Penn State. We didn't talk about Penn State taking on Iowa. Iowa, just a team that always hangs around. They're back in the top 25. Penn State has been another team top 10 all year, played pretty strong, has had their moments just like everyone else. We'll see what happens there. Ole Miss, Alabama is the one that's interesting to me because it's not like Ole Miss has been a world beater so far. They've had plenty of struggles, but their offense is legit. And Alabama's offense is a fucking shit show. Ohio State's offense hasn't figured it out. They're not killing people, but they're still getting their 30 whatever points. They're throwing the ball. They're running it. Well, Alabama hasn't been able to do anything. I mean, especially this last game. Now I get it. Jalen Milroe probably their best quarterback, but they wanted to see what Ty Simpson and Buckner could do because Milroe did struggle at times versus a really loaded Texas squad. But they still put up, I think, 30-something against Texas. Like, they still moved the ball. They still scored. Like, this game, they were a disaster. Their offensive line has been a struggle all year, and Simpson and Buckner couldn't figure it out. They couldn't pass it at all. The run game sort of started working in the second half, but it wasn't like it lit the world on fire. And they're going up against an Ole Miss team with Jackson Dart that is starting to find their way. I mean, they're 13 in the country. Their offense is legit, as we know, Lane Kiffin. Their defense is actually pretty solid. They're one of the best running backs in the country in Judkins. They know they always throw the ball around. Lane Kiffin's the one that brought that to Alabama when he was offensive coordinator there. Alabama's a favorite by almost a touchdown, and it only feels like because people haven't seen Ole Miss at all. So I lean heavily Ole Miss in that game, and it feels like I would actually pick Ole Miss. We'll talk so much more college football tomorrow, as we'll have the professor who's a college football maven. Later at 12 o'clock, we will have Mike Mayo's Lunchbox right here coming to you from Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. They always put out a great display for us, but it doesn't end there. They will do it for you. We watch every single time we're there every month. Just their service is impeccable. I know a lot of time when you go to a deli counter, it's such a pain in the ass to take the number and you're just waiting forever. They have like 4 or 5 people there taking care of customers where you get in and out in minutes. And on top of that, they have such a wide variety of sausages, seafood, poultry, both chicken and the turkey variety, beef, fish, like such a wide variety. They know their stuff. If you know what you're doing, they'll get you out there quickly. If you have a question, want to talk to them about maybe a certain way to prepare the food, I've watched them map out a grilling / cooking session for their customers. Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market do a great job. We really have a great time going out there. You will too. Been around for over 60 years. There's a reason off of 441, I think just south of Sterling Road, right by, it's between Sterling and Sheridan, right by the old Seminole Casino with the chicken on the roof. So check them out. Check us out at 12 o'clock. And again, we'll have a Degenerate Friday tomorrow. Gonna be getting out of here early today. Check me out at No Filter, nofilter.net. We do a show every single day. The morning briefing, no Defo, just more of me. So you got me here, you'll get me there. But yeah, we did talk about the Marlins. I did touch on Thursday Night Football. I did talk about the Dolphins. Again, they take on a Broncos team that is 0-2, but you never know. It's the NFL. The Patriots are a team that's 0-2. And if there was any more time on that, if they were able to get an offensive lineman to lean a little bit more, they probably would have won that game against the Dolphins if they had gotten into overtime, maybe even gone for 2. So the Dolphins Broncos is not an open and shut case. I do think the Dolphins will win, but again, it's not an automatic thing. It's not an automatic thing. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, as they say. So I expect Tua to be in rare form. I do love the Tua love. We've talked a lot about this. All right, sorry. The Tua, I don't know if the debate will ever be settled. Tua, Herbert, Tua. I think Tua has benefited from having an actual good coach that is a fan of his and believes in him and calls offense for him and calls defense for him. And I think Herbert has been penalized by having Brandon Staley, who sucks. Like he's a good defensive mind and he was a good defensive coordinator. He is not a good head coach. Like being risky is good. Being risky, especially in this day and age when you're at the 50 and it's 4th and 1 and you don't punt. When you're at the opponent's 45 and it's 4th and 2 and you don't punt. That, when you look at percentages, it's just fucking stupid to punt. Like, you have a good chance of getting the first down. Why give them the ball back? You know? That I get. That's being smart. But Brandon Staley always goes for it on 4th down. Brandon Staley tends to go for a lot of 2-point conversions. Brandon Staley tends to just go for it without thinking all the time. And it's to his team's detriment, and it's to his quarterback's detriment. So I think that debate, to me, Tua's getting an assist because he has a coach that knows what the guy, like whatever McDaniel is, he's not Brandon Staley. It feels like from year 1 to year 2, McDaniel's learning, and Staley hasn't learned at all. He's still, every close game they have, they lose, which, yeah, I get that's a Chargers thing, but at some point that should change. I just know, I think they're two different quarterbacks, and I think both are good. We get in this weird thing where, like, someone has to win and someone has to lose. And I get that's sports and that's competition. But I think the Bengals are happy to have Burrow. The Chargers are happy to have Herbert. And the Dolphins should be happy to have Tua. Tua with McDaniel, with the talent they have, fits perfectly. And he's not a system fucking guy. No, he's as accurate a passer as this league's ever seen. He's as good at getting the ball out as anyone in the league. He has a great pocket presence. And the one thing he's learning to do is not try and make the big play all the time. Sometimes you got to throw it out of bounds. Sometimes you got to run. Sometimes you got to just get rid of the ball without taking a sack and without turning it over. That was something he struggled at and he's getting better at. So maybe all three guys just fit where they are. Look, Phillip Rivers fit with the Chargers. Eli Manning fit with the Giants, and Ben Roethlisberger fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometimes, not every draft has an Achilles Smith. Not every draft has a Tim Couch. Not every draft has a Ken O'Brien or, the guy from Penn State, Todd Blackledge. Like, not every draft, Jalen Hurts. The Eagles are very happy to have him taken in the second round. Like, some drafts have an abundance of talented quarterbacks, and they go to their perfect ass place. And it feels like that draft had that. So the Tua Herbert debate will always be a debate. I don't think it should be. I think you should just realize all those quarterbacks are good and they're where they're supposed to be. I'm going to duck out early today. I will be back at 9:05, nofilter.net, the morning briefing. And we'll be back tomorrow for a Degenerate Friday. Check us out at 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, live coming to you from Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market for the absent Defo, Mr. AC, for Dave Gurggles Gergely and all of our trivia combatants. Check me out tonight at 6:30 at Landlubbers with the professor, and I'll check you out tomorrow at 7 o'clock right here. The Defo Show, no Defo, just Lubie on South Florida Live.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.